Out comes Azumarill, Typhlosion, gonna look for some chip and nip action with the Thunder Punch, and it's time to bait back out Talonflame. Thunder Punch rocks Azumarill down to round half elf. We set the trap, the opponent falls for it, and if the opponent don't know about that Thunder Punch coverage, they're about to find out. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you returning subscribers, it is no secret that I've not been enjoying Go Battle League whatsoever. However, today, I used a team that I showcased last season when no bonfire head hit in Legend. This was without a doubt the most fun I've literally had in years, and that is no exaggeration. I've made a slight tweak to No Bonfire Head's Legend team. Of course, he was running the more conventional moveset on Chestnaught of Superpower. However, Thunder Punch has been buffed. It got Thunder Punch a few seasons ago, and I had no idea why, because it wasn't very good. It's been buffed, so I thought I'd give that a try over Superpower. What can I say about these battles? Basically, Typhlosion up shields, up energy, sweeps, everything. We're going to keep the intro short and sweet. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we find ourselves a tough lead. I utilise the Shadow Drapion safeswitch, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, baiting out a ground type. Although this isn't technically an ABB team, Drapion is on the team to bait out any potential mud slappers, and we do exactly that. I don't often run Aqua on my Drapion. I'm usually a Sludge Bomb fan. However, in this team setup, Aqua makes sense. You can see exactly why in battle number one. If you're going to bait out a ground type, you want the ability to hit them back for super effective. Drapion, being the absolute menace that it is, has managed to obtain ourselves a shield advantage in the mid game. We can send out Chestnaught, commit to that full Vine Whip farm down, and it is Typhlosion time. My fat finger is spamming the switch jump off, temporarily enters the field of play, and the opponent sends out Morpeko. Morpeko, a very glassy Pokemon, not a fan of fast move pressure whatsoever. The opponent fire off the Psychic Fang bait. They can even fire off one more, but Typhlosion simply does not care. Typhlosion going to be able to fully incinerate farm down Morpeko, leaving at 100 energy. Which essentially means we've got the double blast burn banked. You know the drill. The first one will be forcing the opponent's final protect shield, and the second one is going to look to vanquish the opponent back to its Pokeball. I can't quite believe it. Jumbluff actually survives on quite minimal HP. We may as well show him the Thunder Punch. I could have Vine Whip farm down, but we've got Thunder Punch. Why not show him our moveset? And we're off to a 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, this time we see the ground type in the lead, exactly where I want to see it. Diggersby's actually not too bad in this matchup. They're also a buffed elemental punch user. These fire punches now started to add up. You can see the second one with the residual quick attacks will almost knock us out. I pause a turn, ensuring the frenzy plant lands on its intended target, and I force myself a shield advantage. I am happy to match protect shields before looking to remove Diggersby from the field of play. If the opponent's staying in, they've likely got something else weak to grass. I was going to throw on CMP, but then I thought it just gives the opponent more emphasis to try and catch. We pause a turn again, ensuring the frenzy plant lands on its intended target, and I pivot instantly into Drapion. Our Drapion save switch is answered by Primate. We're able to land the Aqua Tail, the opponent continuing to farm up, allowing us to reach the second Aqua Tail, which will be forcing their final protect shield. And of course, at this point, you already know I'm instantly no shielding. We're always going to look to save Typhlosion and protect shield. There's two things you need to know about Typhlosion. Firstly, its damage output is absurd, and secondly, it cannot tank a hit for shit. I send out Chestnaught, looking to force the energy. We can then send out Typhlosion, get a 1 Incinerate running start, and save our Protect Shield to hide behind, and this game is over. Clodsire might think it's pretty good into fire types, but not Typhlosion. Down a Protect Shield, Blast Burn rocks them deep into the red. I can just shield this move up, under tap the Blast Burn, and Typhlosion is very easily a Clodsire counter confirmed. You heard it here first. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we lead Chestnaught into Gastrodon, the absolute dream lead. The opponent say switches into Emolga, and I pivot into Drapion. Drapion can absorb any one move, especially if the opponent doesn't farm up to the acrobatics. The opponent fire off the discharge. I'm going to look to return fire with a Crunch. Emolga's a very glassy Pokemon, but unfortunately Crunch just doesn't do enough damage. I won't often shield Drapion, but this is going to be a scenario where it's kind of mandatory. Chestnaught dominates Gastrodon, whereas Gastrodon dominates my Typhlosion. Back out comes Gastrodon. I am going to instant throw this move, because that Mud Slap will be knocking me out. So if I went for good timing, I'd be relying on DRE. Out comes a 2-shielded Zapdos. There's no point in shielding this move up, because the opponent could just throw the next one, and this game's essentially over. The only win con left for me is the opponent thinking they can shield flex on me. It's just a super trainer, I promise. Thunder Punch goes shielded. The opponent doesn't go for any shield flex, and I'm gracefully going to tank this move as the opponent is doubled up. A very cool team. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see a great lead. The opponent safe switches into Starmie. I get off some Vine Whip damage, Put it in a range where I imagine that one crunch will knock out. Looking at how glassy this thing is, it probably locks him out from full health. Star me, little buddy, where is your bulk? We tank the surf, return fire with the crunch. Crunch is going to force a protection. Looks like the opponent wants a take back switch. To be honest, Dunsparce Typhlosion isn't the worst matchup in the world, especially if the opponent is all shields down. So if the opponent wants switch advantage, that is going to cost them both protect shields. I fire off the next crunch, guaranteeing the knockout, when in reality Aqua would easily get the job done. I send back out Chestnaught. Unless they're running Ice Beam like Callum on toe, so this is going to be an easy tank. We tank the serve, commit to that full Vine Whip farm down, leaving with residual energy good to go. The opponent sends out Superior. I pivot into Typhlosion, baiting back out Dunsparce. Once again, this game is signed, sealed and delivered. I shield up the Drill Run, throw one further Incinerate and the Blast Burn. Blast Burn only hits for neutral, but easy enough to knock out. We're one Incinerate off the next Blast Burn. Jumpluff survived. Do you think Superior will? Let's find out. Absolutely not, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Alolan Ninetales in the lead. Regardless if they're a Charmer or a Powder user, it's pretty poor for us. I pivot into Drapion, baiting out Metachan. Please tell me it's not Bastiodon in the back. If it's Bastiodon in the back, I'm actually going to cry. I'm sure a few of you have played this game for a few years. Remember around like Season 10 when A9 Basti meta was a very top meta team. I'm just going to let Drapion go down. The opponent is going to have to Dynamic Punch me to take me out. The opponent does full send, and I'm going to send out Chestnaught. As I'm worried it's Bastiodon in the back, I'm actually going to opt to throw energy, keeping Chestnaught as healthy as I can, knowing it might have to put in a lot of work in the endgame. Thunder Punch picks up the knockout. I spam the switch into Typhlosion. Hello, trainer. Is there a Bastiodon? It doesn't look like it. The opponent stays in, looking for the chip and dip. I'm going to invest to protect shield, get that full Incinerate farm down, and whatever's in the back, we'll never know, as the opponent concedes the match. In the next battle, we see a dreadful lead. We are fully walled by Venusaur. I pivot into Drapion, baiting out Azumarill. I said a few minutes ago in like battle number 1 that while I like the Sludge Bomb variant of Drapion, it pains my heart that my little Scorpion is not very good into this very annoying, bulky blue mouse. The opponent fire off the Ice Beam. Drapion withstands the damage, fires off one further crunch. Crunch isn't quite lethal, but we are going to be able to reach one further crunch, which I don't throw at the best timing. I just want to get myself that shield advantage we look for in Typhlosion. The opponent obliges, putting up that protect shield. We're going to send out Chestnaught. The opponent can play off Ice Beam. Do whatever you want, trainer. We're putting it all on Typhlosion. We get that full Vine Whip farm down. We pivot into Typhlosion. Out comes Lantern. This doesn't look great, right? On paper. However, do you think Typhlosion cares about type-ins? Nope, it does not. The opponent doesn't respect the Blast Burn, and that is going to seal their fate. I'm just going to double shield here. Fully Incinerate farm down, leaving at hopefully 100 energy. The opponent continuing to play the inevitable out. I shield up the Surf, get that full Incinerate farm down, and we are doubled up on Blast Burns. You know the drill. The first one will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to vanquish Venusaur back to its Pokeball. Typhlosion simply doesn't care about type-ins. GG's. In the next battle, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. When I opted for Thunder Punch, the only matchup I thought, my god, do I want to land a Thunder Punch, was this one. Let's see if we can make it happen. We save switch into Drapion, obtain ourselves an early shield advantage. The opponent fires off the Flame Charge, which doesn't get the job done. I'm going to only throw one Poison Sting here, so that next Incinerate will be knocking me out. So if I went for good timing, I would have actually died with the move, or once again relied on DRE. My opponent protecting Talonflame at all costs. Double shield, setting up Typhlosion with a 2-0 shield advantage. I send out Typhlosion, shield up the fly. The opponent then pivots out into Clodsire. Again, we're going to shield up this Stone Edge. I'm going to throw one further Incinerate and the Blast Burn. Blast Burn won't be lethal, but I will be able to Incinerate farm down afterwards. Typhlosion looking to sweep the entire team. The opponent thinking about it. Let's see what they send out. They send out Azumarill, and this is where we're going to go with some chip and dip. Previously I said I want a Thunder Punch Talonflame, and we're looking to bait it back out. I pivot into Chestnaught. The opponent falls to the trap, sending back out Talonflame. If this opponent don't know about that Thunder Punch coverage, they're about to find out. Chestnaught is a Talonflame counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Azumarill can throw whatever they like. No one move will knock us out, and even if it did, we've got the Thunder Punch banked on Typhlosion. The opponent fires off the Ice Beam. We withstand the damage, reach the Frenzy Plant, and that's going to be all she wrote. Honestly, if you're looking for some fun in GBL, try this team. It is awesome. In the next battle, we see Jumpluff in the lead, which obviously isn't awesome. We save switch into Drapion, baiting out Diggersby. Drapion has managed once again to bait something out Typhlosion doesn't particularly want to see, and we manage to land back-to-back Aqua Tails. At this point, the opponent can Scorching Sands and remove me from the field of play. The opponent actually thinking, with that awful lead matchup, I'll be fighting for switch, go for a bait, and that is not something I'd recommend. Drapion actually able to realign. The opponent now send out the barrel. Oh boy, alignment in this game was absolutely everything. Drapion gonna fire off the crunch, but barrel not really known for its bulk. The opponent looks for that full rollout farm down. Drapion refuses to die, reaches the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail picks up the knockout. We show him Typhlosion. The opponent says no thank you, I'm out of here, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see a huge core breaker. Alolan Marowak has the potential to hit all three of my Pokemon for super effective. I say switch into Drapion, fire off the Aqua Tail, obtaining myself an early shield advantage. I'm thinking, how the hell do I get rid of this thing? I am actually going to opt to shield here, hoping to try and get all shields down off the opponent. The opponent smartly save Marowak and pivot into Dunsparce. I fire off the first crunch. After firing off this next crunch, as the switch time is 50 seconds, I should be able to pivot out into Chestnaught. But I think this is where I made a mistake. What I should have done there is undercharge that crunch, leaving more farm. Although I have still got Drapion around, its energy is dry, below half health, and Chestnaught got very little farm. Out comes Marowak. Unless they've got Fire Blast, which they haven't farmed up to, will survive any one move. The opponent fire off the Shadow Bone. I'm really hoping I should reach back-to-back Thunder Punches. Again, that's a bit of a mistake from me. I'm only reaching one move. Frenzy Plant is resisted, but would have done more damage. And we are sitting in a really tricky spot. I send out Typhlosion. Managed to make the catch on Drapion. However, is that going to save me? I really need to try and fully incinerate farm this thing down. Hope something in the back. It's something we can one-shot. I am going to burn the final Protect Shield here. The opponent fire off the Bone Club. Then send out Umbreon. Umbreon is one of the thickest mon in the format. Unfortunately, they tank a Blast Burn fairly well, which you're about to see here. And despite Umbreon hitting like a wet noodle, Umbreon looks like it's pretty attack weighted when Typhlosion is its opponent. Oh man, Dark Pulse nearly knocks us out. The opponent's now farms down and we take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, the tough leads continue. We see Togetic. We save switch into Drapion. The opponent farms up a bucket load of energy before save switching into Unova Stunfisk. The opponent obviously really wants switch advantage. They opt to shield the first Aqua Tail, which of course they didn't need to do. Aqua Tail does hit for super effective. You need 3 to remove them from the field of play. Mud Bomb will be hitting us in turn for super effective, but won't be enough to knock out. Potentially I can reach 2 more Aqua Tails, which would be huge for me. The first one lands. Drapion looks to reach the second. Unfortunately, we don't quite get there, but that's okay. The opponent then pivots out into Steelix. We send out Typhlosion. The opponent throws that god-awful Tyve in, which should allow me the full Incinerate farm down. We should have the Psychic Fangs. Typhlosion looks that full farm down, which we get. I'm looking top right. Back out comes Stunfisk. They are very low, but I'm not risking a Thunder Punch not knocking out, so we fire off the Blast Burn, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. After firing that move off, I saw they've got like 4 HP, so a Thunder Punch would have been lethal, but regardless, we can still fully Incinerate farm down. The opponent has an Aerial Ace bank, so we pivot out, catch the move onto Chestnaught. We're able to survive an Aerial Ace. The opponent looking for that full Fairy Wind farm down. We reach the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch will certainly be putting this thing into Blast Burn range. Thunder Punch actually quite a lot, to be honest, considering Togetic's pretty thick. Blast Burn easily going to pick up the knockout from here, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Dunsparce in the lead. The opponent pivots out into Pidgeot, and here comes Drapion. Pidgeot is such an annoying save switch. If you haven't got something that hits him for heavy super effective damage, opponents usually just shield their way through you and opt to realign. However, that being said, another trait Pidgeot users that I love to go for is Feather Dance Baiting, which is a bit of a mistake here, as that isn't going to be lethal, allowing Drapion to fire off one further crunch, getting them in a range where we're going to be able to 1 Incinerate farm down, getting a very nice running start. Typhlosion gets that Incinerate farm down. We know Dunsparce will be re-entering the field of play. The opponent already down 1 Protect Shield. I heavily over farm before firing off the Blast Burn, looking for the kill shot. The opponent tanks the damage, saving their final Protect Shield for Steelix. Steelix not going to appreciate this Blast Burn. They probably think we got superpower as well. The opponent tanks the damage, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see a Dunsparce lead. The opponent safe switches into Drapion. I thought about Thunder Punching, chipping and dipping, and I think that's definitely a play I should have went for instead. I make the catch onto my own Drapion. We can survive 2 moves from them, so I guess banking my energy isn't a bad play. You can see even the resisted Vine Whips have put the opponent in a range where the second Aqua Tail will be lethal, whereas we will survive. Again, to be honest, I don't really care if I take Switch or not. I'd be happy with Switch or Shield Advantage, either's fine for me. The opponent actually don't fight for Switch, instead send out Dunsparce, looking for the rollout farm down, but really, where's his energy going to go? The opponent banks their energy, send out Superior, we show him Typhlosion, and that is what you call RPS for the win, no skill required. In the next battle, we see a tough lead against the Lowland Sandslash. I say switch into Drapion, the opponent stays in, so we fire off the Crunch. The opponent farms up well past a draw run. Again, I'm not shielding this, enjoy yourself trainer. Thankfully, it's just an Ice Punch bait. I opt to fire off the Crunch and lose CMP. This is an IV dependent CMP, and unfortunately this time we don't come out on top. I'm going to fully wait out my clock, send out Typhlosion, look to get a 1 Incinerate run in start. The opponent gets deleted in the blink of an eye, and out comes Starmie. Thunder Punch surely goes shielded, right? The opponent shows no respect, near get one shot. Typhlosion almost knocks out with a non-stab move. Are you kidding me? Out comes Drifblim. We fire off the first Thunder Punch, forcing the opponent's first protection. The opponent looking for that Astonished farm down, which they're unable to get. Typhlosion reaches one further Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch forces the final Protect Shield, and it's all down to Chestnaught to clean up. After shoutcasting no Bonfire Heads battles a few weeks ago, even a resisted Frenzy Plant would put you in a winning position from here, but Thunder Punch is going to be nice, especially with double debuffed. We shoot at the Icy Wind, return fire with the Thunder Punch. Despite being double debuffed, it nearly knocks out, putting him in a range where a resisted Vine Whip farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we pick up a commanding lead. One thing I will say about Chestnaught is that you kind of hard win lead or hard lose lead. There's nothing really in between. The opponent say switches into Dugong. I respond with Typhlosion. The opponent fire off the Icy Wind bait. Of course you're going to bait Typhlosion. With that in mind, I'm going to fire off the Blast Burn the first time. As after one further Incinerate, they will be in Thunder Punch range. So the opponent's going to be forced to double shield or just lose switch completely. The opponent doesn't fight for switch advantage, sending back out Donphan. Donphan able to fully mod slap farm me down. I send out Chestnaught, the opponent pivots out into Toxapex, and we see the battle of the poison types. Pace and advantage with Drapion, but the bulk all with the opponent. All I really need to do is get this Toxapex in a range where one move from Chestnaught will be removing them from the field of play. We tank the Brun, return fire with one further Crunch. The opponent still reluctant to shield, and that is definitely one move range. To be honest, they're probably in Vine Whip farm down range. Drapion, thank you very much for your contribution. I send back out Chestnaught. The opponent pivots back out into Donphan. I'm not going to shield the first move in case they Trailblaze, and then a boosted Body Slam or knockout, although I guess that's just being overcautious. I'm going to just shield this move up, fully Vine Whip farm down, and leave at like 100 energy. I'm really hoping when Toxapex returns, they don't shield this move up, recognising we're doubled up. We fire off the Thunder Punch goes shielded. We've got a Frenzy Plant banked, so I guess we'll just throw that. And finally, the game is going to end in victory. GG's to that opponent. And when we eventually stop unlagging, we're going to move on to the next battle. We'll lead Chestnaught into Drapion. A pretty scuffed matchup, to be honest. Most Drapion don't run Sludge Bomb, and we're forced to go for non-stab Thunder Punches as we haven't got superpower. I say switch into my own Drapion, trying to make a catch. The opponent stays in, farm up a boat of energy, and actually they're the ones that make a very nice catch. However, one Aqua Tail will put into Crunch range. So we're either going to take switch here or force ourselves a shield advantage. The opponent shields the Crunch, but then over farm before firing off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will be removing me from the field of play. Feraligatr, of course, does have access to Ice Beam. So I could one shield and fully Vine Whip farm down, but instead I'm just going to fire off the Thunder Punch, looking to pick up the knockout and keep two shields intact. Thunder Punch goes unshielded and secures the knockout. Back out comes Drapion. The opponent ends up playing to CMP. I've got no idea what this opponent's farming up to. They've literally got like 150 energy if you go past 100. Of course, you can't store more than 100. You can only store 100, but 11 Poison Stings will get you to 99. I believe they're throwing like 15. I don't know. The opponent fires off the Crunch. We then send out Typhlosion with our shield advantage. I shield at the Crunch. I also shield at the Psychic Fang. I'm going to throw one further Incinerate, fire off the Blast Burn. Blast Burn, of course, massive overkill on Morpeko. We're going to be able to outpace the returning Drapion to the next Blast Burn, and Blast Burn, unfortunately, going to cook my little channel mascot to a crisp. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we'll lead Chestnaught into Primate. Shadow Primate, without a doubt, one of my favourite mons to run in the current Go Battle League meta. We farm up So what would be a close combat and anticipate the opponent going for a Rage Fist bait. So we catch it on Drapion, which is a very nice catch if I do say so myself. The opponent then answers my Drapion safe switch with Gator. We didn't sneak a Poison Sting, so I'm quite surprised to see the opponent not opt to throw on CMP and deny my energy. I guess the thought process is they don't want to give me too much free farm on Chestnaught. So I guess you can look at it two ways. I'm going to send out Chestnaught, get off 2 further Vine Whips and leave with quite a lot of energy. The opponent actually doesn't send out Primate, but send out their own Shadow Typhlosion, and I enter the mirror. I am going to shield at this Thunder Punch, as Thunder Punch would do quite a lot. The opponent then pivots back out into Primate. That one Incinerate did like a third of their health. Holy cow. Thunder Punch forces the Protect Shield back. We've already seen how much that Incinerate does, so I know I can now shield up this Rage Fist, fully Incinerate farm down, leaving with a charge move to go. I'm going to fire off the Thunder Punch immediately, looking to force my Protect Shield, and then we're going to pivot into Chestnaught, serving up the combo play. This opponent actually reached out to me on Discord and said I BM Frenzy Planted him. I don't actually have Superpower, so Frenzy Plant does actually hit harder than a non-stab Thunder Punch. GG's. However, if you are running Superpower, of course, that would be the move to throw. In the next battle, we see Mandibuzz in the lead. Running Air Slash, of course, dreadful for Chestnaught, so we save switch into Drapion. The opponent fires off the Aerial Ace and then send out Azumarill. Once again, I'm very sad we don't have Sludge Bomb. We fire off the Crunch. We are going to be able to outpace to yet another Crunch, but unfortunately Azumarill has bulk for days and it isn't threatening. This might actually work out better for me. The opponent throws the Ice Beam as soon as they get it, so if 8 Vine Whips knock out, they will not reach another move. I'm going to send out Chestnaught. Can we get the full Vine Whip farm? That is going to be close. Chestnaught just about able to get it. When Mandibuzz does return, I'm going to 1 Vine Whip, go for the Thunder Punch, Chip and Dip, and then send out Typhlosion. The opponent probably thinks this is going to be a Superpower. I think a Thunder Punch and Superpower probably do about the same. We then pivot into Typhlosion. The opponent stays in, looking to force a Protect Shield. I'm going to oblige as Typhlosion cannot tank a hit for shit. The opponent then sends out Gator with a 2-to-1 shield advantage, but they've given Typhlosion too much of an energy lead. We fire off 1 Incinerate and the Thunder Punch. Again, I look to fire off the correct 1 Incinerate and the next Thunder Punch, only giving the opponent 1 free turn. We shield up the Hydro Cannon. At this point, we are now doubled up. The opponent in a very tough spot. They opt to tank the damage on Gator. Back out comes Mandibuzz. I fire off 1 Incinerate as I know 2 Air Slashes won't knock me out, putting them in a range where a Thunder Punch from either Pokemon will be lethal. The opponent shields up the Thunder Punch from Typhlosion. We combo play into Chestnaught, and Chestnaught removes Mandibuzz from the field of play. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see Clodsire in the lead. I'm going to say switch into Drapion. I've seen a lot of Clodsire paired with Dunsparce, so ideally I'm looking to bait that thing out. The opponent opts to stay in, so we're going to start firing off the Aqua Tail spam. The first one goes unshielded. I am actually going to respect an Earthquake. The opponent full sends the Earthquake and they likely pivot. Our safe switch is answered by Primate, but again they've given me too much of an energy lead, so we're going to be able to force our Protect Shield back. The first Aqua Tail goes unshielded, the second one likely goes shieldless. Who's just going to sacrifice Primate completely? Nobody. The opponent heavily overfarms and plays to the CMP tie, but still they need to close combat to knock me out. The opponent does fire off the close combat, debuffing their defense. I'm going to send out Chestnaught, but unfortunately again we are going to hit with a close combat and it is going to hurt. Primate with a monstrous attack stack. Close combat rocks me deep into the red. If Clodsire returns, we're healthy enough to survive the Poison Stings and reach a Frenzy Plant. The opponent does send out Clodsire. This Frenzy Plant won't be lethal, but we'll put him into Incinerate farm down range. We land the Frenzy Plant, pivot into Typhlosion. The opponent banks a charge move, then send out Superior, and I think that's a mistake. They should have looked to force the Protect Shield first. They then looked to call the bait. We're not baiting. They recognise the game's over and concede the match. GG's. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's showcase. My, what can I say? If you're looking to have fun in the Go Battle League, Shadow Typhlosion is the mon for you. What an absolute monster. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to Battle Special Form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.